It does indeed give me a great deal of pleasure to welcome you to South Africa. It is not every day that we have the privilege, and this is a very rare privilege for us, in fact happened to us, to welcome two heads of government at the same time. You honor us with your visit to South Africa at the same time. You are our true friends from Denmark and Holland. This joint working visit is indicative of our shared objectives in the areas in which we cooperate with each other. Both your countries have long and very historic relationships with South Africa, which have grown in substance and diversity over a number of years. I know that you appreciate the mutual benefit that we can derive from this relationship, but you also understand the challenges that our country faces. You will be familiar with the pressure on our electricity network and the impact it is having on the South African economy. For this reason, your visit and our engagements on closer cooperation in the energy space are very, very opportune. Renewable energy forms an increasingly important part of our energy mix, and it is vital to both the achievement of a just energy and greater energy security for us. We hope to benefit from closer cooperation with your countries in this regard, and we really appreciate the interest that your two countries, including your various companies, have shown in this sector in our country. Given the current challenges in Africa and Europe, it is important that we broaden our dialogue to include regional issues as well. Denmark, the Netherlands, and South Africa, alongside the African Union and the European Union, are important partners in addressing our common and respective challenges. If we are to bridge the growing divides between nations, between regions, and between the global north and the global south, then we must begin with dialogue. We must work to create a peaceful and prosperous world by building mutually beneficial partnerships that support the aspiration of all our peoples. As you would be aware, South Africa was part of a delegation from 7 African nations that recently returned from meetings with President Zelensky of Ukraine and President Putin of Russia. Among other things, we called for a de-escalation of the fighting that's taking place in that part of the world, and for negotiations to commence with a matter of urgency. We also called for the release of prisoners of war and the return of children who've been removed from their homes and their parents. And we also called for greater humanitarian support and assistance for those who are in great need. And we also said that the talks that should lead to a peace deal should also deal with the issue of reconstruction post the war. We used the meetings to highlight the damaging effect that this conflict between Russia and Ukraine is having on African countries and economies, contributing to food shortages and the rise in cost of living. We believe that our mission was successful in registering the willingness of African leaders to contribute to a negotiated peace and to highlight the broader effects of the conflict. We hope that it will contribute in some way towards the international peace efforts that are also underway. But I guess for us, the most important outcome was the commitment on both sides to continue engaging with us, to take our discussions forward so that we can join the two countries on the road to peace. As South Africa, we are grateful to count Denmark and the Netherlands as long-standing partners in our progress and development. We are also pleased that we can welcome you as our partners in dealing with other difficult challenges that our continent faces, challenges in our region, in SADC, in the Democratic Republic of Congo, where there is instability raging, and also challenges in northern Mozambique, in the Cabo Delgado area, where there is instability and there are continuing attacks on innocent civilians. These are matters that we hope to discuss with yourselves, including also the business forum that is carrying on at the moment, where a number of business people are discussing the issues that have to do with energy, and particularly the new sector, green energy. We look forward to today's deliberations, and we're really delighted to have you here. And I then invite you, Prime Minister Rutte, to deliver your opening statement. I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, dear colleague Mette Frederiksen, for making this journey, this visit together, and for hosting us here. A warm welcome also to the South African ambassador in the Netherlands. Good to see you here, and hope to see you soon back in The Hague, and to the teams. And I do not have a lot to add to the points you mentioned already, because it is about all these issues. It is, of course, about the conversation on the stability, the geopolitical stability, and particularly what is happening in Ukraine. And we were very fortunate to get the debrief from your visit to both Kyiv and to St. Petersburg last couple of days. You just returned. We have to continue that conversation, because that is important, and the role we can all play to stabilize the situation, but also to get more insight on what is happening here in Africa. And you updated us on DRC, on North Mozambique, but also the broader questions and opportunities in Africa, and particularly the fact that the free trade zone is now being established, and the effect that is having now. And very interestingly to hear that where traditionally for South Africa the relationship with Europe would be number one, politically maybe still yes, I hope, but economically that the intertrade within Africa is now becoming more and more important also for the South African economy. So that is testimony that that free trade zone is really delivering in terms of its economic impact. And the bilateral relations, that's the third layer to this conversation, and these are excellent. And I was here in 2015 the last time, but since then many contacts, we have met many times in G20 and other fora, which has always been very beneficial to understand what is happening here and to be better able, from your investments in the Netherlands, Dutch investments here in South Africa. But today the main focus is on energy transition, and there is a huge opportunity. And the only way we can deal with this and make this happen if the people in our countries understand that this is not only about energy, but it's also about jobs, future economic growth opportunities here in South Africa, and of course also in Denmark, Netherlands, and the business forum is, amongst other issues, discussing that. In closing, let me say that we drew up, as a Dutch government, a new Africa strategy, learning from our mistakes in the last years in terms of what is working and what is not working. And you came up in our trilateral talks with some very important insights. But basically the number one advice you gave us is be involved. Pick up the phone, visit, to and from. And that's exactly what's at the core of this Africa strategy. to focus on the collaboration with the African continent. So thank you for that, and this is, we are only just getting started with the talks here and then the lunch. But it is a bit of an experiment, traveling together, but so far it's very pleasant and to be repeated. Mette, over to you.
Thank you so much. And first of all, Mr. President, thank you for welcoming us. It's good to see the whole South African team today. Mark is right. I mean, this is a very special visit. It takes 2 European leaders to handle 1 African president. This is maybe the most important message. No, for us, the most important thing about being here in your beautiful country today is to show our friendship and to build what you said very, very clearly. We need to build stronger partnerships. And to be very honest with you, I am very proud of our historical ties. We were one of the countries that supported you all the way through your struggle against apartheid and for democracy, but I would like to be even more proud about our common future. And we have so many challenges in front of us. You are facing old and new conflicts on your continent. We are once again facing a war in Europe. And none of those conflicts and wars can be handled without a strong cooperation between democracies. You have for more than 30 years now have been one of the strong supporters of international rule-based international society. You are a very strong voice globally and in Africa, and therefore we are here most of all to hear your perspectives on your regional conflicts. I think you're totally right. We need to be engaged. Therefore, we welcome your engagement in the war in Europe. And you have said it very clearly to us, you have to be engaged in our conflicts as well, because this is common ground for all of us. I also hear, I'm listening very carefully, the talk we had about climate change. We know you are facing some national problems on energy security, especially when it comes to electricity. You also face some problems with youth unemployment like many other countries. And we are facing some of the same problems because all this relates to the climate change, which we have to combat. But at the same time, we have to do it in a just transition way to create more jobs and to ensure our populations. And it's no matter if it's in the Netherlands or in South Africa or in Denmark, that all the people working in the old sectors or are facing unemployment should know that there are new possibilities because of the green transition. But we can only ensure that if we work very close together. We are so happy and delighted to be here. It was a nice talk about the weather and other subjects, President. In this world, I mean, where insecurity is on the agenda in many different topics, we have to build an even stronger partnership and relationship, and we are willing to do it in many different areas. So that's what we want to say to you today. And we also bring some private investments and investments in general, because even though money is not all, it's necessary to build a better future for our populations, and that's what we are here for, the 3 of us. So thank you once again.
Very much indeed to both of you, 2 visiting prime ministers. It is at this stage that the media whispered to me that they've been working since morning, and this is the moment they want to take off and go and rest a little. They are quite fortunate that during the course of the day, they do take time off to. We want to give them the opportunity to do that. We never get that. Since I got into this job, I've never been given such an opportunity. So I dream of being a media person one day, to be able to get time to go and rest a bit. So we'll allow our colleagues in the media to go and have a cup of tea. Thereafter, we will continue.
All right, we come out of that where the President of South Africa has been meeting with the Danish and Prime Ministers from Denmark and Netherlands as well. A working visit there. We've got some breaking news for you on the other side of this. Stay with the agenda.